So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
That's okay. We're live and you'll get it.
Yeah,
Hi.
that's it. You know, Al,
Yes.
Ready to pair.
dealing with Tyler, it's like, I don't know. For a pothead, he's like so fucking organized.
Yeah, man. I've been using pot my whole life to be organized.
Yeah, hey?
Don't
You tell him.
everywhere.
Hi.
You tell him.
ADD will be off the charts.
There you go. ADHD is where it's at, man.
Oh yeah, I've been had that forever.
Saturn. Hi.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys a story. Well, you guys are playing over there since
We
we're
are
already
playing
on
now.
the air.
We're going live. We're live right now.
Okay. So indulge me for 1 second, Ira, because you will find this very interesting. I don't know if you know this about me, but I was a case study in the 60s for hyperactive children. And I went to the Hinks Clinic twice a week where they watched me through a glass rage and throw things and have fun, the stuff that they do. If I knew then what I know now, I would have gotten through school and all that shit.
No.
Sorry, yeah.
If I put a speaker to a mic, you'll get feedback, right?
Lucas,
All
you
depending, yeah.
know we're live, and
I know.
That's
Gotta get
okay.
it.
Everything's live around here, buddy.
It's stable for right now.
can we stabilize it?
Yeah,
If you were on time, motherfucker,
Okay.
for a change,
ready
can you see
for-
the questions pop up?
You see me itching my balls.
Anything?
Yes.
Can you see what? Your bong?
My ball. I was itching my balls.
Hey, I didn't hear anything you said there, Val.
It's okay. I was just going to say welcome to the higher estate.
Here, business phone goes away for an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
Business phone
Take
goes
your
away.
business phone and shove it.
Oh,
All right?
boy.
I shoved my phone, to live.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, hi, everyone.
And
Are we live here? Is this working?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Somebody just
Working. It's working here.
about you posting about vaping.
Yes. What did they want to know?
I just said you posted about vaping.
I did post about vaping. It's important to vape. All right, we're going to take questions.
About vaping.
You're a growth off.
There is an article in the news about vaping.
Is there?
Today? Yeah.
You know
Maybe
what else
you
there
should
is?
challenge their article, read it, see if they're right.
What'd it say?
I haven't read it. I just saw it.
Well, how are we going to read it?
TheGrowthOff.com.
The growth off. Did they change their website?
No,
Because it looks.
Yeah. It's
Look at
different.
it.
up them, I think.
Oh.
So I think their stuff might be influenced a little
What
biased
do
now.
I do? The growth off?
GrowthUp.com.
.com, not .ca.
.com.
Okay, there it is. That's way better. Oh, hold on. Am I 19? What's my
Yeah,
birthday? Oh, we need to figure out how to get you louder.
Better.
Who?
My birthday is going to be 43,
Yeah.
5 today.
You'd be getting you guys on eventually.
Oh, yeah, I have headphones.
So-
don't I?
That's no, but I mean to
Here's one about healthier
Yeah.
alternative to smoking or vaping using a nebulizer.
Nebulizer.
Oh, I have one of those.
All right, hey everyone, and welcome to this edition. What is it? We always have an edition. Why do I
This
say
edition
that?
of the higher state is the Ask the Doctor question.
Yes, that's the
first
doc.
episode of Ask the
Oh, that's a good one. So this is right. So hold on, can I start again? Just kidding. Hey everyone! I don't have that voice, but I want that voice. I hate how my voice sounds.
Everyone
No, I
does.
like you.
Everyone does not like how their voice sounds on
Is that
recording.
true?
I hate it. I hate my voice.
I feel
Everyone
like
does.
I sound like the dumbest fuck.
You have a pretty good radio
It
voice.
Yeah,
just-
no, it's not bad.
Like, your voice is good for radio because it's very projecting.
when I sound like I love being
And you
Canadian.
pronounce words really well. I
Eh.
don't.
So we did this filming the other week, and it sounded like I was like, They're like, you pronounce your words. I'm like, I know. I pronounce my words. Anyways, hey, everyone. Welcome to the Higher Estate. We have this is my favorite kind of show because we have an empty seat, which is amazing. So today I'm going to try to get Lucas, who's always doing the recording. You like those
Clydes?
kids? Yeah.
Are they the Big Sean Clydes?
These are the I had them for 2 years, though.
The Clydes, yeah, Big Sean.
Do you like them?
Yeah, Clydes are classic Pumas.
They're classic
Awesome
Pumas, yeah. I love them. And look at the lace.
Yeah.
I love the
Super
laces.
funky. There's new ones with the tab on. It's like a rainbow color, but they're all black.
Really?
And they're leather.
This is like feel that suede. It's pretty cool.
They have like a leather one with a black bottom, and it looks like a dress shoe.
Yeah.
Really
Somebody
nice.
was asking about the office in Toronto, and they just call them South.
Yeah, our office is in Burlington and Hamilton. Toronto, we're not in Toronto right now, but we will be very shortly. All right, so what's going on? So today what we're going to be doing is having my favorite kind of conversation. It's going to be Ask the Doctor. I already have some questions that were out there that people wanted to know about, like what is cannabis, what is THC, what are cannabinoids, what is the actual plant, what's the difference between a sativa and an indica? Why do I get so frustrated when people say I'm smoking a sativa and it's doing this to me, dude? Mm-hmm. Or why is I like smoking indicas? It's like saying I like smoking the equator, or I like smoking mountains.
You're just smoking different profiles in the plant, different terpenes, different cannabinoids, which gives you the effect.
They're just regions of the world.
Well, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The plant itself is what you're getting a different variety of. Geographical location helps influence that variety of the plant.
Yes.
There you go.
That's what I'm looking for. So that's awesome.
I'm a firm believer in that too.
Good.
100%.
Well, I think most people who have done away with the bro science kind of understand. What's that, Al?
The bro science?
Yeah, I call people walk around and they're like, yeah, man, cancer, cannabis is going to cure your weed, it's going to cure your cancer, man. And
just take CBD and you'll be fine.
Yeah, just take
nothing will happen.
That's what I call bro science, because they're like, bro, this is going to help you, bro.
You, man.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Been there, done that.
Take this acid. Yeah. Don't trust the vaccine.
Peer pressure. It used to be called peer pressure.
Right. Yeah. And now it's bro science. It's true. So we talk actual science. So we're going to do some science talk, and we're also going to talk. Well, it's getting nice outside. Why am I sitting so far from this thing? And it's getting really nice outside. So we're going to have Tyler, who is a optimal grower. I'm not calling these master. I hate that fucking name.
Don't
I'm gonna. You know what? I feel like
I am not a master grower by any means, but I've grown cannabis for a long time. My master. You can't be a master.
What does that even mean? Yeah. You know what I did?
It means you have a PhD.
Yes, right. So you know what's funny? I just watched this. I watched this documentary on Netflix called Somm. Mm-hmm. It's about some master sommeliers. First of all, that is insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, you want to be a master cannabis grower? Let me stick 6 strains in front of you, and you do your thing and tell me what they are.
Really, because there's so much complexity that goes into the profile of wine.
I wonder though. Let's create that.
If you go to the vineyards, I'd go on a regular basis during summer and test out, and they have certain wines, same year, same grape varietal, but 2 different patches of soil, and you try them side by side,
different.
and you can tell the difference. Your brain starts to be okay when they say oakiness. And
sorry, are you trying to tell me you're a sommelier now?
No, by God, no. But I've tasted a lot of wine.
The soil's what the plant grows in. If the soil has different nutrients, or it has, say, the soil's really acidic, or the soil's not, it's going to completely change the way the plant grows.
Dirty,
that's why some of the
smells like sweaty balls and tennis balls, and that's what these guys are like. It smells like rubber and tennis balls. I'm like, I smell wine; it all smells the same. I smell acetone, and it's like I don't know what I smell. I like baby Amaronis; those are my favorites.
You know what I hate is the smell of gasoline on me or near me.
My God, I love that smell.
Well, here's the good news. You won't be a huffer.
Yeah.
No, right?
I'd go to Canadian Tire with my parents when I was younger. I wanted to smell gas and smell rubber.
Okay, let's pretend that you never...
I didn't go and huff gas, but when you used to walk right in Canadian Tire, it used to be all automotive stuff. So there's a big wall of tires, there's gas and everything, and it smelled amazing.
Really?
I love the
I
smell.
used to shop at the original Canadian Tire on Yonge Street.
In Toronto?
That was fucking huge.
Oh, Al, do you have a swear jar there?
No, because everybody's allowed to swear here at my house.
Okay, let's get back on track. Let's not lose track today, because we tend to lose track, and then people don't like it. Just make sure you're looking at all the questions. So after we do some cannabis education, or maybe before, I don't know. I didn't really think about that much.
Why don't you answer the first question? You said that one of them was, what's the endocannabinoid system?
Yeah. That question. Okay, and then we're going to get into Tyler, because it's really nice outside, and people have questions. We're now allowed to grow, legally, you can grow your own 4 plants, and I want to start putting plants outside, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So Tyler's going to take us through a step-by-step. Basically, I'm going to be like your average dude that walks in off the street and is like, yeah, man, I want to put my 4 seeds in the ground. What should I do now?
Well, you'll learn that you don't just put seeds in the ground.
You don't? No. I thought but I feel like, no, it's not like Jack and the
Beanstalk. You have to throw down a bunch of them.
Oh,
not
you
all
do?
of them will sprout. You got to germinate them first to see if
I
they're
thought I just
valuable.
put one in the ground and then I water it. No? Okay.
You can, but
So I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't grow cannabis. I prescribe cannabis. All right. So why don't we just? It's so true. And that's what we're going to do today. So ask the doctor, and then how to grow cannabis on your own, simply outside.
Yes.
So first question is, what is cannabis?
It's a plant.
Well, hold on. So it is a plant, but I mean, I guess you're right. I guess we can't really say cannabis. Cannabis is made up of 2 really important systems that work synergistically with each other. You have the endocannabinoid system, and that's the cannabis that exists inside your body. And you actually have cannabinoids. Those are the actual chemicals or the molecules in your body that actually cause an action. They actually are like ligands, which are like little chemicals, the same way that you have other compounds in your body like epinephrine or whatever that actually, or serotonin, that cause an action. The same thing happens with the endocannabinoids that are in your body. But you also have cannabinoids, exogenous cannabinoids, or cannabinoids that exist outside of your body. Those are what exist inside the plant. So we actually have 2 separate systems that work together. You have one system called the endocannabinoid system, and that's the cannabis that works inside your body. We actually have a bunch of different chemicals in our body that make up that system. The most pronounced one in our body, do you know the name of it?
The most pronounced
endocannabinoid, or the cannabinoid that exists within our body. Do you know what it's called?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Does anybody, what's your name? Lucas. Keep yours on too, so people can see what's going on. Do you know what it's called?
I do not know. Sorry,
Does anybody on there know what it's called? Anybody? Okay, well, nobody knows what it's called. I'll just tell you what it's called. It's called anandamide.
Really?
There you go.
Yeah. Do you know what anandamide actually? Interesting. So science has put together this. We have all these chemicals that are endocannabinoids within our body. The most abundant one is called anandamide. Do you know what anandamide means?
No.
Come on. Sanskrit for the bliss molecule.
Bliss.
Oh,
Interesting.
Really?
So we have this molecule that scientists all agree is amazing, and they called it the bliss molecule. So our body contains a molecule called the bliss molecule.
Why is it called bliss?
Right. So it's called. Hopefully, some of you guys are runners. Ever feel that runner's high? Yeah. So it makes you feel really good. It's in charge of a lot of different mechanisms in your body, like homeostasis and wow. Look at that. Hey guys. Bye. This is Tyler fucking around.
I'm trying to get alive.
That's so funny. So put it up there.
Put
it inside the.
Here, will you monitor the questions as they come up?
I so gotta come out there and put things where they're supposed to be, guys.
We've been for a year now, and we're as ghetto as it gets. So just let us be. The reason is because it's just our cell phones that I didn't bring that Gorilla Pod.
We just need like a couple of those.
I have them.
I sent you a link to the best stand.
I have them. I just didn't bring them. Oh. I never remember them because last time this guy remembered them, and it worked really well last time. Okay, so we have anandamide that exists in our body. It's in charge of things like the runner's high, and it's also in charge of pretty much all of homeostasis. So it actually is in charge of regulating our body. Cannabis inside our body is really a master regulator of all of our bodily functions. So, it's one of the most abundant systems that our body contains. How crazy is that? Mm-hmm. We also have other receptors and other chemicals in our body that are also cannabinoids, but the most abundant one for simplicity, anandamide, the bliss molecule. And why is that? Because it causes the runner's high. It causes us to feel good. It also helps us with sleep. It helps regulate all of our bodily hormones. It regulates a whole bunch of things.
Does it work with serotonin and dopamine at all?
Yeah, it's on the same level.
Okay. Does it regulate the production of?
No, it doesn't. It's interesting. Okay. So it works slightly different than most neurotransmitters. Most neurotransmitters are released from this part of your body, and then they cause an action, but they're always hanging around. Yeah. So I would call things serotonin reuptake inhibitors or dopamine reuptake. We want the dopamine in our body that's already produced to sort of hang around. Yeah. Whereas the cannabinoids in our body actually work quite differently. They work as a negative feedback loop. So if you're feeling down, that your body will spontaneously produce anandamide to make you feel better.
Okay.
If you're
a balancing action.
Yeah, it is the balancing action.
It's like there's an action and an equal and opposite reaction.
Well, it's sort of like your body needs to move, it's not moving. So how do you get it to move? You create chemicals to have to be produced.
It kind of has the mental effect of doing the opposite as well. Like if you're feeling too confident, it will humble you. Or if you're feeling too inside yourself, it'll
Yeah, so it can. It depends on where it's working in your brain. So for me, it's like if you're having a seizure and you need your seizure to stop, a cannabinoid inside your body, maybe not an anandamide. It could be an anandamide. It can also be 2-AG. There's a bunch of them. It will produce a cannabinoid that will then, from that part of your brain that will then signal some other part of your body to say, stop this seizure from happening. So that's how the cannabinoids work inside of our body. Really cool. That's an endocannabinoid. So then what exists in the world? What exists in the plant? In the plant. So in the plant, we also have cannabinoids. Those are the active chemicals that are almost literally imitate and mimic what's already in our body. And what we know those ones. Give me a name of one. Somebody throw one up. CBD. What does CBD mean? What does it stand for?
I have a hard time pronouncing the word. I'm not.
I want to hear it.
I don't know if I remember.
Al, what is it? Do you know what CBD stands for?
Cannabidiol.
Ah, good job. Cannabidiol. Yeah. However you want to pronounce it.
Cannabidiol.
What do you say?
Cannabidiol, because it's the way it's spelled. IDOLL at the end. Cannabinoid.
DIOL.
That's how I read it.
What? Dyslexia?
No, dyslexia.
Oh, you got a little dyslexia. It sucks. I think I have dyslexia.
You think?
No, I do. Listen. Bully.
You crack me up, Ira.
On an aside, when I was in third grade, not third grade, when I was in ninth grade, they tried to do. It's a big difference. Yeah, that's right. So there. Oh, yeah. Sorry, who's dosing me today? This is my doctor. When I was in ninth grade, they tried to do a learning, you sit through all these learning assessments.
Yeah.
I was not a great student until university, to be honest.
Same.
And so when I was in ninth grade, they tried to do a learning assessment on me. And first they couldn't do a full assessment because I wouldn't sit still long enough. So they're like, this isn't going to work because he won't sit still. But he's in 98th percentile for logic. He has a grade 3 reading level.
That was me. Same thing.
Yeah.
But I did in grade 7. And I was at a grade 4 reading, but everything was well above board.
A demonstration of the failure of the education model. identify differences in people and
They were
you good at math?
Nothing was interesting.
No, I was horrible at math. I was good at history.
I loved history and science, and I did really badly. Like, that's the weird thing.
I did really well in history. No, that's a lie. I did really well in gym. Like, I did ultimately the best in gym.
I do well with formulas and stuff that's just always the same, like geography.
So let me ask you a question, Ira. Because I went back and got my grade 12 at 27 and then went and studied photography, and I had a hell of a time. I ended up in the bar most of the time because that's where everybody was. How did you manage to get through university and stuff? Like, did you have a regiment that you had to use?
So, if we're going to talk, like, we will be not talking. Talking about what medical questions today or growing. If I go into my story, maybe I should save my story for another day.
How I got through university. I was on a scholarship, and if my GPA dropped below 2.5, I didn't have that scholarship anymore. Right. That was my motivation.
But I couldn't do that. I was a high school dropout. And, eventually I made my way back. I had a really, really tough go. And then university, it all clicked for me in university. It took me 7 years to get out of high school.
Wow.
And 5, 6, I took a year off. So in 2, finished in 7. I started university in 7, 2 to 7. How many years is that? Not 7 years. I don't know. I can't do math. That's 5. So when did I start? I started, okay, so 6 years is at the end of the day. It took me 6 years to do university or high school. It wasn't 7 years. So I couldn't even do the math. Anyways, that'll be for another talk when we get to maybe next week when we go back to health and wellness and parents have questions about how to get kids with their kids with ADD and wondering about motivation and how to do it and live a healthy lifestyle. How you can school, because that's what I did. It was I was the against all odds kind of kid. But back to the endocannabinoid system. So our body contains the endocannabinoids, what exists in the plant, THC, CBD, and over 100 other cannabinoids, right? So the two most common ones are THC and CBD. THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. It's a chemical compound that interacts with our body in the same way that anandamide basically does. And then we have CBD. Or cannabidiol, and that interacts with our body as well. Now, we're always, we're sort of, how do those things interact? So, interestingly, our body has specific receptors that take them. Now, here's the question.
I was going to say, like, if we didn't historically use it a lot at some point, why else would we have them, or why would you get?
We wouldn't. We for sure wouldn't.
Yeah,
we've been using this plant for thousands of years.
You wouldn't evolve to have it.
First evidence of this plant was over 12,000 years ago. The Yangshu dynasty.
The monks
written on pottery. What's that?
It was used how?
Initially, it was used as sacramental, not even as medicinal.
Now.
It was used in religious ceremony. Eventually became used as medicinal. India sort of introduced the ganja doctor, and that's still to this day. It's been used medicinally. That's over 4,000 years old. There's some question about where it was first found. If you ask China, the Chinese will say we found it, and if you ask India. You go to India, they'll say, well, we found it because one of the heads of Shiva was cut off and it rolled into China and Indochina or whatever. And that's where cannabis came from, one of the heads
and even thinking of that, there's African colonies and stuff that go way before then.
Oh, yeah.
It grows wildly there, but they didn't document stuff as much as the Asians did.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, certainly.
There's no way.
I mean, we just go by what we know, and I think that's what we have to settle with. So our body contains these. So the plant, we have THC and CBD, and both of those are called cannabinoids. The active component of the plant is called the cannabinoid, and it's located in the trichome, that crystally looking stuff, the stuff that's on the ends of the actual plant. Of the bud and on the flower, the stuff that makes it shiny.
crystals.
That's a good way. The sparkly unicorn crystals.
Yeah.
That's what contains the cannabinoids. And those ones interact with our body. But herein lies the problem, right? So if our body doesn't actually have the cannabinoids in themselves, they're produced when we need them or when we don't need them to cause something to happen or not. If we take it externally, we're introducing something we may or may not need. Right? So in there lies the problem. And if I mentioned already that it's the master regulator of most of our bodily functions, what happens? We can dysregulate our body by taking more than we need.
100%.
Right? So we have to, like any other medication, any other drug, any other substance, plant, anything on the planet, it can lead to, some significant issues. So you obviously have to be careful with it. At least maybe be mindful with it. Let's take a word careful. That's the prohibitionist's mentality again. Let's be mindful with it.
Yes.
So that's what cannabinoids are. They're chemicals that exist inside the plant that mimic already what exists inside of our body.
And what receptors do they hit in our body?
Good question. Tyler,
CB1, CB2.
Right. We actually have more than a CB1 and a CB2 receptor. We have transient receptor proteins as well. But the interesting thing about THC, for argument's sake, we're going to say that THC binds and causes its action on the CB1 receptor. Right. Whereas CBD causes its action on the CB2 receptor. By inhibiting it, it then causes an action. Yeah. It also binds to or affects the CB1 receptor by inhibiting the action of THC on that receptor, which is why it's important if THC is what causes euphoria, because its receptor being the CB1 receptor located in the part of your brain that causes euphoria. Well, if we know that CBD can counteract the effects of the receptor on it in that part of your brain, it's sort of important to have, and you don't want to get that high, always have a little CBD with your THC. Why? Because it'll nullify some of the effects that you get from THC. Make sense?
Yep.
Pretty kind of cool. Now I'm going to blow your mind and say none of the cannabinoids actually bind to CB1 or CB2. Here's a big scientific word. They're called allosteric modulators. What the fuck does that mean? Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It means they just change. If like in a puzzle, if you put the last piece in, it changes the configuration of the whole puzzle. So it actually, the cannabinoids actually change the configuration of the receptor itself to cause an action versus just binding to it.
So why would that happen? It's like a stopgap for like. Why not they just evolve to like directly affect each other? They
do, because they affect so many other parts that go around the CB1 and the CB2 receptor. Like if you look at CBD, which is the anti-inflammatory, guys, it's good at the neuropathic pain and the anti-inflammatory, but if you look at its actual action, it's not necessarily even much on the CB2 receptor. It's mostly involved with the immune response and increasing the immune response, but for the most part, and this is still a lot of science we have to gain. Remember, we only learned about these in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we're still learning. Like this is fairly new science for us. So it those receptors. Man, you guys know more science than 99% of doctors know. Yo.
Yeah, because I obviously heard like a little bit of that, but not actually why and how.
I heard you mention where the CB1 is located. Where's the CB2 located?
So CB1 receptors are mostly located in the central nervous system, inside your brain, inside your spine. The truth is they're also located on, we call them visceral organs, so inside of the different organs of your body, like your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, which is one of the reasons why it's effective in things like glucose control or blood sugar control, or can be. Not prime time. Don't start, because this is not medical advice. Remember that. I'm just giving you some information on science, people. That's why one of the reasons that THC can potentially help with glucose control, and why you have CB1 receptors in your gut, which is why THC potentially helps with inflammatory bowel disease. But then you have CB2 receptors. Actually, you also have CB2 on your heart and on your blood vessels. Yeah, all that kind of. So CB2 receptors aren't located, so they are in your brain. They are located in certain parts of your brain, of course, things that have to do with memory, definitely in there, and sleep there as well. Phase 3 for deep sleep, not REM sleep, so they can help keep you staying asleep. But then you also have them in the periphery. You have them on muscles. You have them on the end parts of the muscle. You have them on bone. In your immune system, you actually have them on most inflammatory cells. Like the cells that cause inflammation, you actually have CB2 receptors located on them, which is why there's basic science that looks at how do we decrease the inflammatory response. Well, with CBD, if you use CBD to it causes them to blow up, so that that inflammation decreases. So that's how it works from an inflammatory perspective.
So is that why when you use a topical cream, it's much better to have it in high CBD rather than a high THC?
So that's a really good question. First of all, topical creams themselves. Topical creams will only work very superficial unless they're made water soluble.
Right.
Okay. So all cannabinoids hate water.
Yes.
They love fat. But if most of our body, 80% of it is water, and we call it the basement membrane, below the 5 levels of your skin, or how many levels? I don't remember. Derm? No, it's 5, 7, I don't know, something like that. I think it's 5, whatever. I could be totally wrong about that. I'm not. But anyway, below the deepest level of your skin is a barrier of water. So to get below that, the cannabinoid
has to seep through it.
Has to seep through. So it has to be made water soluble. Otherwise, any salve you use is a waste of time. Now, I mean, you can use hyaluronic acid. People put this stuff together to make your face all shiny and anti-inflammatory and keep you young and youthful. So it's fine. But
so, for example, like something that's water soluble would be like an isolated CBD. You add that into a topical cream, it's water soluble.
You can add lavender as well. That helps.
Smoothie or juice are completely dissolved.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it water.
It can't float to the top. Nothing.
Isolate? No, it may not float to the top, but it's still not water soluble.
Emulsifies in it. Isolate.
Isolate. Did you just teach me something?
Look it up.
I don't buy it.
I'm
gonna
used
not
it
buy
myself, and it's worked very well.
Why would an isolate change?
Why would an isolate change it? I'm going to venture to guess no. Now, the cannabinoid itself is hydrophobic.
I've used it in isolates where it works well.
Hydrophobic.
Has a water phobia.
I got an idea. Why don't we ask Dr. Google, because it's always right.
I'm guessing it's like its properties.
Bro, Google.
Okay, so isolate will dissolve easily in alcohol-based solvents and water-based solvents.
Well, alcohol certainly, because it's an emulsifier.
Right, so right here.
Water does emulsify. So truth is, water does emulsify, but it's not going to work in just a regular. It emulsifies plastic, that's for sure. Water does, right? That's why we don't like water. But if you want to maximize your CBD intake. Okay, you can keep reading. You're reading out loud.
Sorry, I will just read.
Can you read?
Most stuff saying on here is it's going to use as water soluble.
Yeah, it's not. Okay. So I'm just going to say no, and we're going to say that if you want to make cannabis isolate, any kind form, the cannabinoid water soluble, then you have to add an emulsification to it. Or you can add a protein carrier, like DMSO, that can drag it across the basement membrane.
This is saying exactly what you're saying.
Well, Corey, can you just say that? Hold on, everybody. No talking. What did you say? This is saying what?
It's saying if you're taking it topically, it's more beneficial to have it as a water soluble than to have it as an ingestible or an oil or fat.
I'm not always right.
Definitely right on there, but it's saying you can use it as a water soluble.
Well, it's not. Anyway, not effective. So let's just get back to this point here. Point being that if you want to use a topical, then it has to be made water soluble, or you have to add a protein carrier to it that is going to drag it across the basement membrane. So if you're,
like what's an example?
An example of a DMSO? DMSO would be that. Like it's what they use from horses. That's really good. The truth is actually one of the terpenes inside the cannabinoid itself, linalool, right? is a carrier, right? It'll help make the cannabinoids more water soluble. So that's really interesting. So you want to always have that extract inside of your inside your cream or whatever. So, or, if you're using like a Voltaren cream or one of those other like anti-inflammatory creams, they all have built into them, because all of these compounds are pretty much fat soluble and not water soluble. So most of the creams have their own, they've already put in an emulsifier. Ethanol is an emulsifier itself. So you can use ethanol to then make, to extract it and put it in water, as long as you emulsify the alcohol off.
And that's what most topical cream instructions are saying here. Make it as an alcohol tincture first to be water soluble.
See?
So yeah.
Dr. Price.
100%.
Boom.
Dr. Price, hold on. Do I have a mic? There's a mic there. I'm dropping knowledge bombs.
Good.
All right. By the way, the cannabinoids inside the plant are actually called phytocannabinoids, plant-based cannabinoids, because the endocannabinoids are the ones that exist inside of our body.
All right,
I think question's pretty good. Are you any other questions showing up there?
PJ just said on my window here that so does lanolin.
Yes, yeah, linalool, lanolin, like there's a couple of them that help, a couple terpenes that make, unless he's trying to say linalool, I don't know, linalool.
And the different terpenes are in different strains, or is it
Yes. Is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And how many different?
How many terpenes are there? So there's probably 21 different terpenes that are within, like, unique terpenes to the cannabis plant itself.
And are there ones that are in all of them?
Pardon me?
Are there certain that are in all of them, or are there like?
Yeah,
myrcene's very predominant in cannabis.
Okay.
So there are a bunch that are usually pretty prominent within most strains. One, like if we wanted to talk about, the question was, what's the difference between a sativa and an indica? Like there's a lot of indicas that have a high level of myrcene in it. It was thought that that's what, people used to say, I get the couch lock because, I'm going, because it's an indica. What does that even mean? I'll give you a high sativa, go put you to sleep. I think we figured that out last week when I fell asleep on the phone.
But there is definitely that idea out there.
Yeah, that's bro science.
That's bro science. You get that.
But
terpenes cause those effects a lot of the time.
People should talk about which terpenes they're after.
Yes.
They do, right?
Yes.
Terpenes are the key. One really cool thing about that is there's like one particular dispensary in the U.S. that is now listing all their terpene profiles, and they're the first ones to do it. But now, like in Canada, they're starting to do it. You can look up the lab reports on most LPs' websites.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important because the combination, the entourage, or the combination of the whole plant cannabis is really beneficial because they all have their own their own profiles. Now, terpenes exist. So what are terpenes, first of all? Let's go back to a simple question. What is a terpene? You want the scientific answer or the general answer?
The general answer is scents and aromas.
Right. So the scientific answer is they're aromatic hydrocarbons. Yeah. So they are what give the smell to all of cannabis, right? And because of that, that smell, not only does it have its aroma to it, which is another reason why you want to vape, by the way, because they have their own burning levels, and you end up, when you burn cannabis, it all smells the same. It's because
here's some science.
Okay.
Terpenes evaporate at 21 degrees Celsius.
There you go. Terpenes tend to evaporate really quickly. So
it's like a lighter.
It's 1,000 degrees.
Yeah.
1,200 degrees. So incomplete combustion, you're fucked. It all smells. Oh, jeez. It all smells the same. But if you use a vaporizer, you can smell the different aromas.
And you can taste it too.
And you taste it. The argument here's the argument, by the way. I'll be my own devil's advocate here. When you smoke a joint, the heat at one end is hotter than the end itself.
Yeah,
so when you
that's true. Just a second.
When you inhale the toxins and all the smoke from combustion, you are getting some benefit of the terpenes that are on the inside, closer to the that are closer to your actual filter because it's just heating them up a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're still getting all the toxins in there. So
essentially it's just evaporating them, right?
Yeah, it's just not good.
Come on, Buzzkill. I'm smoking a joint. Give me a break.
Why aren't you using your Shatterizer?
I'm using that too. I just happen to be smoking a joint right now.
I love you. All right. So terpenes. Back to terpenes. So there are a bunch that are common inside of the plant. So you have linalool, limonene.
These have
lemon.
characteristics to them that are you can trace across different strains.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you do the lab reports on them, you'll find out every terpene. And depending on how the plant is grown and under what type of lighting, what frequencies of lighting, you can increase terpene profiles and decrease them as well.
So LED,
LED's better for increasing them because you can control the dimming and you control the light frequencies a lot better than you can on an HPS.
I can see that getting really crazy really fast.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again. And talk louder over there unless you come join us. Oh, we should have put you on. Bring the mic over.
So what do you want me to say again?
How do you change the terpene profile?
Yeah, some stuff that I've been reading lately is in the last few weeks of flowering, actually adding in more blue light.
So changing
more daylight.
Changing the spectrums, not changing the photo.
Blue light is only
just
from
changing the light. No, blue light comes from lots of stuff. Fluorescence. It's all
right. Fluorescent light.
But so I've done some research on increasing the amount of blue light for the last few weeks of flowering can potentially increase yields of the terpenes within the plant. It also, it's such new science. A lot of people say different things about it. So because they're still trying to pinpoint the exact research to see which does it the best.
Yeah, has there been research on them?
Lots.
Trying to
lots.
Dial it in.
Mainly out of companies in Oregon. A lot of organic growers in Oregon do a lot of this research.
Really?
Yes.
You know what I just realized? You know why everything's so shaky over there? Because that table isn't level.
Yeah.
But you know what else I noticed? There's a chaga mushroom sitting on my table.
Yep.
That's
a beautiful chunk of chaga.
It is. It's a beautiful chunk of chaga. Chaga, choo choo. I don't know where that came from. Right. Okay, so terpenes, other terpenes so there's limonene, linalool, myrcene, pinene. So there's between, some people will say 9 to 11. In particular ones that are in the plant, I've seen people say up to 20 different. You can have 20 in one strain, but are just unique to
and you can create
cannabis.
But with new terpenes, you blend them.
Guys, they exist in all parts of life. When you're smelling a lemon, you're smelling limonene. Yeah, that is a terpene.
Same with lavender.
Lavender is linalool.
There you go.
So that's.
You find in certain.
You find in
lavender. All linalool is lavender.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the smell of lavender. You're smelling the terpene linalool. Mm-hmm. It's just a fancy motherfucking name for
essential oil.
It's just basically an essential oil. Right. Yeah, I got some. You got linalool on you over here?
Yeah.
Who's got the linalool? Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear any change going into that jar there, buddy.
Did I swear? I'm not going to have lots left today.
All right. So I was answering what a terpene is.
So that's what a terpene is.
Mm-hmm.
What is, so I think that's good.
What else?
Anything else coming up?
Somebody else asked about plateauing with
I can't hear you because you're covering your goddamn face.
Somebody asked about, do you ever plateau with a dosage, develop a tolerance per se?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer to the question is yes, you can develop a tolerance, but it's not the same way that you develop tolerance to other medicines. You can become used to the effects of it, but your receptors don't saturate. So you just become more accustomed to the effect that you're going to get from it. So it's more of a psychological adaptation than a physiological adaptation. Your body will still get the benefit. But here's the and that's because it produces itself.
Is that like saying you're not addicted to the cannabis itself? You're addicted to the motion of just hitting the bong.
So there is an addiction to cannabis.
Okay.
And every society basically has one. 4%. It's lower than fucking caffeine. which is 15%. But there is, if you look, Gable, the caffeine addiction rate is 15. It's massive. It's like 15%. If you look at, there's a good study done by this guy, last name Gable, in 2006. Go look it up, people. And he basically charted all drugs on one chart.
I know.
And he talked about on the y-axis and the x-axis. He spoke about lethal dose and addiction rates. So you always want it to be on the lower left-hand side. Lowest addiction, lowest lethal rate. Right side, you're looking at right top corner. You're looking at the highest addiction rate, and you're looking at the highest mortality rate,
which was opioids. Correct.
So opioids are like all heroin. Opioids are all with benzodiazepines all the way up here. On this end, what did you have?
Psilocybin and LSD.
Psilocybin, LSD are the lowest, and then you had cannabis. Yeah, they were still calling it marijuana. It was done in 2006. We've come a long way in a very short period of time. So that was a very well done, plotted. It's talked about in the science a lot. Gable, Gable, did that.
It's a great chart.
It's a good chart. Just of course, we always have to be careful. He did that work. So what else was I talking about? I don't remember.
We were just answering the question.
You don't remember either. Oh, right. So dosage, plateau. So can you plateau? You certainly can plateau. But here's how you avoid that. Strain change. All you have to do is strain change. If you feel like it's not working, you either need strain change or a washout period. Cannabis doesn't have much of a withdrawal. You're not going to go into withdrawal from cannabis. You go into withdrawal from the cannabis culture. That's what you go into withdrawal from. That's why this month is vape roll. Yeah, because it's not the cannabis you're addicted to. It's the culture you're addicted to. You're addicted to your bong. You're addicted to your favorite location for using your cannabis.
It's like smoking, right?
You're addicted to your friends. Well, no, tobacco is super fucking
smoking
addictive.
blunts, you can get addicted to the tobacco.
That's why nicotine patches don't really work for a lot of people because there's so many other parts of the addiction.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
But we talk about being mindful. I've not met more than a handful of cannabis users who don't talk about the word health and wellness. Whether they're a cannabis culture guy, whether they're a stoner, whether they're like whatever culture they come from within cannabis, they all talk about health benefits. So if you're willing to talk about the health benefits, then you better walk the fucking walk.
For a long time, too, that was the only way to positively speak about cannabis, too.
Right.
In Prohibition era was the health benefits. So they really got stressed. They got overstressed.
So do you think that they were just liars? Do you think that...
I could admit that some of them were probably hypocrites, for sure.
Yeah.
You could see somebody going and eating 10 Big Macs and then smoking a joint. Or smoking a joint and then going and eating 10 Big Macs. Right. It's not healthy, but you're promoting cannabis as health and wellness.
It's not
things like that.
From being,
or say you smoke weed every day and sit on the couch all day.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think, at the end of the day, we have to be really mindful. And I think people that were spreading all that talk and were out there with the banners of health and wellness, just to get it legalized for some backdoor purpose, just be real with yourself.
Yeah.
Stand up for, if you want to get high, just tell people you want to get high. Because that's my argument for recreational cannabis.
And I think you'd gain a lot more respect from people if you said that, it's mentally beneficial or, something like that, just in, general.
What drives me nuts are people that come to the clinic and come to a doctor and just want to take advantage of the physician. You don't need me to get high. Cannabis is legal.
Yeah.
You want to have more amount of cannabis because you're using too much of it. You don't need that much. You want your own self-grow, and I know that we go through this all the time with the 4 plants. You're not going to have enough for, to have something in flower, to have something in veg, to have something in harvest.
Then there's the argument if your crop fails, especially if you have an outdoor crop that's limited to one season.
But if you're using it to get high.
Yeah, if you're using it to get high,
doesn't matter.
But say you have an 8-plant license for outdoor.
Okay, but that's my whole
point. If 4
point.
of those plants die, you're going to be screwed for that season. So you got to take care of them.
But my whole point is that for recreational purposes, it doesn't matter.
No, 4 plants you could grow.
But for medicinal, then it matters, which is why you could get more plants medicinally. But I got guys coming in here telling me, I need 10 plants, I need 20 plants, I need 30 plants for my medicinal grow, but they're not using it for medicinal purposes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not happening. So that really frustrates me, because I'm out here trying to bust my, tail helping people, and then they go online and they write these nasty, Dr. Price, he's been investigated by his college, because they didn't get anything that they wanted, because I'm not dumb.
Yeah.
You don't need my permission. So at the end of the day, just be real with yourself.
If you're doing it inside, 20 to 25 plants to have a perpetual harvest is all you need.
Okay, but that's for medical purposes.
For medical purposes,
because you need
a
something
perpetual harvest.
Right. You need a
so you can produce oil every 3 months to keep yourself sustained.
Right.
That's what I'm meaning. Anything more than that, like for personal use, it's just too much. You're going to have a ton of excess.
That's right.
And where does that excess go?
Black market.
There's a lot of different avenues.
Right. Yeah. We don't know about those, but yeah. All right.
Are you allowed to grow it and then give it to your friends?
You can donate up to 30 grams.
Okay.
You can gift, share.
But you should not be gifting anything out of your personal medical grow. That should be out of your recreational plants.
That's right.
If it's medicinal,
it's yours.
It's yours.
If you are sharing your medicinal plants with people, that is secondary gain and diversion.
Yeah,
sharing your prescription.
Not allowed.
You'll be thrown out of my clinic.
Yeah,
Gonzo.
that is not allowed.
Our clinic. Gonzo. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Other questions out there today, people? Before we get into our grow?
Little guide to
got a half hour of growing
here.
You
can go through 7 steps in half an hour.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. I think that's enough for today from the science. We'll come back to that at the end. We got a half hour left here, and I got to learn how to plant my 4 seeds.
Yeah.
Although I have 4 kids, yo. That's so horrible.
Okay.
Oh, geez. Let's move on. No. Okay, hold on. I'm going to ask you questions because you know what you're doing, and you're going to be talking to me the same way that when I talk to you guys science and you can't pronounce cannabidiol, I can't pronounce a goddamn word you say when you start talking about growing.
Okay.
So here's what I'm going to say. Oh, I got an idea in my head. I want to grow cannabis.
Okay.
So where do I start?
The first thing you start with is you determine the climate that you're in and what season would be best to be growing those plants. You need to determine what starting material you're going to be using.
Okay, so I'm going to start from here.
Clone.
Okay, I don't even know what any of that means. Now, climate. I live in Dundas,
Canada.
Ontario.
Yes, so your season is shorter than most places.
When do I want to? Okay,
so I'm saying your season is shorter.
Season.
So you're going to want to be planting in the spring and harvesting in the fall, just like all farmers do.
So I'm only going to get one crop?
One season in Canada for outdoor growing.
Really?
Yes.
So that doesn't seem too useful.
It can be useful if you do it properly.
Okay, so hold on. So I'm writing notes here, people. So what did you say? So climate.
So climate.
My climate is Hamilton,
Southern Ontario.
So when do I start? When do I want to plant?
You want to start planting your plants mid to late May. That being said, only if that is from a clone. You're going to want to start your seedlings from seed in April to be ready for mid to late